And yeah, Austin, Deborah, well, I guess he was saying that if you acted more hood or something like that, and I'm sure on your channel people have tried to give you more tips of, you need to do this or you need to do that or this or that. Do you think those tips would be helpful or kind of not really?
It wouldn't be helpful for me because I wouldn't implement them. But what he's saying is absolutely correct. I've heard the advice that I've gotten from dudes that are the successful women in the States. When they get rejected, they have something to say back to force it. Is what he's basically saying from what I was getting. I'm not forcing nobody. I'm not forcing nobody in Paraguay. I like who likes me.
Right. I get you. Let us bring up, we got Fearless in the house. How are you doing, Fearless? I think you're muted, brother.
There we go. I think that's it.
All right, perfect, man. Your audio sounds better than mine.
Hey,
shout
out
that's
because I watched I got your show. I bought the package.
So you bought the course. All right, well, shout out to Fearless, man.
That's why I even got. That's why I got my Stream Deck.
Got the Stream Deck. All right, Fearless is killing it. Shout out to Fearless. Thank you so much, brother, and thank you for coming up. Do you already have a channel? Is it up or? Are you
yes, Fearless_Travels.
Fearless_Travels. So if one of the mods can drop the link to my man's channel in the chat. Before we get into Fearless, let me just shout out my man Nasho one more time, man. Shout out to Nasho now, but what does he say? Says, conversely, I think men have become way less masculine through helicopter parenting. Partly the food we eat, culture shifts, video games, saying things like be more emotional. Problem is, you have women in the chat right now calling the 3 men on the panel gay for expressing their opinions. Man, thank you so much, Nabo. Yes, it could be a tough crowd. It could be a tough crowd. Thank you for coming up, Fearless. And I think I saw an interview, or maybe like a collab, maybe interview's a strong word, with you and Austin. Can you kind of tell us kind of what your experience is with traveling and kind of how you view some of these topics that we're talking about?
Correct. So Austin came back. I'm in Dallas, so he came back. We collabed together. We actually spent 2 days together. So not just with the collab that we did. We spent time getting something to drink, eating, socializing, doing some great things. Traveling, man, I've been traveling for more than 30 years.
Wow, 30 years.
Maybe 32 countries at this point.
Jesus.
So all over. What I found is 2 things. Austin, I think we talked about a lot about this. Don't be hood to get no chick, because you're going to attract the chick that's going to be hood, and that's the one you're going to regret. The more money that I've made, and I told you, the more money I made, the less sex I got. Not because I didn't want the sex, because I had to qualify and be more selective with those type of chicks. Because you get a hood chick, that's going to be hood problems. So don't even do it. One thing I talked about is I think in America, it's always like, I can do it tomorrow. I can get this done. In other countries, there's this need of urgency. They live for the day. So when you talk to a girl, it's like, I want to get to know you today. I want to call you today. What you doing tomorrow? Here, you meet a girl and try to call her the same day. She's like, what are you calling me for? Like, it's a strange thing. So there's a sense of urgency there. Also,
what do you think that sense of urgency is due to? Why do you think women are more urgent in other countries, but in the United States, less so?
Culture. Like when you meet a Latino woman and she's like 25, she's getting it from her aunt, her mom, her grandmother. Why aren't you married? Why aren't you settled down? Why haven't you found someone? So it's a sense of find someone, get married. If not, you become old, unwanted. And that's just not something they want in their culture. So it's the whole family is around and they start questioning, why are you single? They put the pressure on you. Here, it's stay single. Don't meet someone. It's not the same. Here, also, I think one of the problems that Austin had was code approach in the United States is very difficult because the women need to pre-qualify you. There has to be something that pre-qualifies you. whether you have money, whether you have something, it's just going up to you is like, who is this person coming up to me? We always have this thing that there's an ulterior motive. Somebody, he wants something from me. So why is that? And it has to be generation. We went out to Gloria's, which is a Latino restaurant, and there were some Black ladies there, older Black ladies. They would converse, not an issue. The younger women was really standoffish, didn't want to talk, more stuck up. So it has to also go with age. The older generation are more open and willing to talk. The younger generation, no, it's what they can do. Another thing is this, and I found this out. So I know you traveled to Mexico and you've seen those fine mangoes and beautiful women.
Yeah,
I've been all over. So Colombia, DR. The difference is, I'll tell you this. Like, say you go to the Dominican Republic, you're in Santo Domingo. You want a girl that's got a nice body, long hair, fine. That's everywhere. You got your choice. Light skin, dark skin, nice body, hourglass. The looks become nothing. When I dated in the United States, if you found a fine woman, she wasn't doing nothing for you because she felt that her looks took her everywhere. Her looks just opened the doors and there was nothing else for her. When you go to another country and the looks are not important because everybody a 10, a 9 and 10 where you look around, the women have to do more to get your attention because the men there aren't sweating them. If you go to, we go and see native Colombians, Brazilians, when we are staring at women and looking at them, they looking away. It's commonplace for them. It's not, they don't even get the same attention from their people that they would get from us. So in the United States, it's difficult because you have maybe average looking women and you get one pretty woman, she thinks she's all that and does not have to do anything. Also, I know that we talked about this also. It's not color, it's culture. Or I'm sorry, it's culture, not color. So there's Black women that are in Brazil, Colombia, DR, have no issue talking to you. So it's not the color of their skin, it's the culture here. How they're raised. You know, you have a lot of single mothers raising their children. And what do those single mothers teach? You can be single. You can be independent. You don't need a man. You can live without a man. That's what they tell them. They don't say that in other countries. It's never you can be without a man. It's you need a man. Why don't you have a man? I'm not strong without you. That does not exist, especially in Latin American countries, even in Africa. It just doesn't happen. And the way that they treat them, it's a respect for men that you don't get here. When I was out of the country and I was at a girl's place, friend of mine, we were talking. Next thing I know, I was like, I'm not hungry now. So she went up and fixed a plate. This before I knew Spanish. Her grandmother cussed her out. Like, why are you fixing your plate and this man sitting here without a plate? Now, if reversing the United States, it's asking, why are you fixing your man a plate?
That is true. That is true, boy. Things have changed a lot.
Yeah. And what I think we lost in the United States that they still understand is there is a power in submission. A woman who is submissive and caring and soft, she actually has more power than that strong masculine woman. She can wield more things. She can, I wouldn't say manipulate, but she can gain her way just by that softness, that voice. Because men are, if somebody comes at you and they look aggressive, you'd get aggressive. But if you start yelling and then you start talking real soft, they go soft. And that's how that woman is. So the masculine women in America bring out our aggressiveness. The women in other countries, that softness, they bring out that masculinity, that wanting to protect. And it's not about that. If Austin, I know you know, there's no 50-50. Like if you go out of the country, you don't pay. There's no telling a girl she got to pay 50-50. They'd laugh at you. That wouldn't happen. But the difference is they expect you to pay, which isn't a problem. But they have their own expectations of how they're going to take care of you. So you may be paying for dinner, but they may be paying you back by cleaning your clothes, doing your laundry, making your bed, cleaning up after you, doing all of those things. So it's a give and take relationship in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so true. You know, and give and take really is the key to at least long-term monogamous relationships, right? It's so important to make a relationship last. And it seems like at least, you know, social media, from what we're able to see on YouTube and TikTok and stuff, from the woman's side, it's more taking. It's about how much can I take versus, you know, not really trying to give. And you can call the lack of giving, you know, you can frame it in a lot of ways, whether it's the patriarchy or, you know, I know my worth or this or that, you know, even, and not to talk about other content creators, but even this whole situation with Fresh and Fit and the Daisy Chen girl, that Chinese foreign national. And she was saying that, you know, she's 28 years old and her standard is to date men who make $1 million or more. 28 years old. And she's like, well, that's my standard. That's my requirement. 28 years old. And she, you know, her requirement is for you as a man to make $1 million or more every single year. And a man is going to be like, well, okay, but you know, what am I getting in return? She's like, oh, you getting this ass. Well, shit, you know, it's a lot of ass out there, right? It's like, what are you giving? So, I mean, your points are spot on. It's hard for men. I wish we had more women up here that would just kind of, you know, come up and kind of give the other side, because it does seem like from the man's perspective that men are given a little bit more than we're receiving sometimes.
I gotta ask you, Lee, when you were married, when you got married, did y'all have like roles? And I don't want to say traditional roles, because that would be it. But I think sometimes when you go into relationships with these foreign women, they've been like raised by a father. So they say, oh, that's how my father is, and that's how I am. Mm-hmm. I have just found that we fight for power in the relationships. There's like this power struggle, and that becomes difficult on a man where you say either I have to be hyper masculine and go at you, or I just walk away. There's no, here's my role, here's your role, which is very difficult in here.
That's so true. And, you know, no man really wants to compete with this woman, right? It's not really a thing, because, you know, most of the time, you know, what really type of competition is it? If she selected us to be in a long-term relationship, well, we're probably making more than her. You know, we're probably older than her. You know, the fact that we've got more, we're probably smarter than her. So how are we competing again, right? What is this even competition about? But if you look at it from the woman's side, and I really do try to look at this from both sides, you know, women, a disaster for women, a disaster is getting with a weak man. That's a disaster, especially if she has children by this weak man, because if the woman can't protect herself and can't protect the kid, you know, that's what the fucking man is there for. And if the man is weak, you know, genetically speaking, back in the day, that was the worst thing that could happen. And so a lot of times a woman isn't going to be able to tell day to day if you're on point or if you're slipping a little bit. You know, she has to, you know, walk around the car, kick the wheels a little bit, make sure, you know, you're okay. But, you know, guys, we don't really like our wheels getting kicked. Right. And so, but you understand why a woman sometimes has to, I think they call it, you know, in this sphere, kind of shit test, or just make sure, hey man, are you still a man today? Are you still, you know, you still able to check me today? You still able to put some energy or put me in my place today? You still able to choke me today?
But you know why that is, Lee? Back in the day, your father used to bring your date to your home. Your father was there, your brother was there, your uncles were there. They vetted for you. They shit test for you. So before he even came and got to it, they already kicked the wheels. So he was qualified to get there. So the women could stay in their femininity. They didn't have to try to do that.
I disagree, though, because just because you're strong as a man in 2020 doesn't mean you're strong as a man in 2022. Like a woman does not want to get with a man who's strong 1 year. A woman wants to get with a man that's strong every year.
That's true.
And, you know, dads and uncles and brothers, they're not shit testing every year.
That is true.
You know, so, you know, but at this, you know, so I understand from a biological reason, and I'm not saying women do this consciously, guys. I think it's all subconscious, but I think women do it because it is a genetic disaster for women to get with weak men, because a weak man is just not going to protect anything. He's going to fuck everything up.
What I think they don't understand, Lead, is this. I think, I don't know. I'll ask Austin. If given the option, Austin, if you found a good black woman that was traditional, just like a Latina or African, is that somebody you would pursue if she fit the same standards? If everything equal, but she's in the United States, is that somebody that you would date?
Yes, but I think that's far past reality.
And I think, yeah, and the reason I asked him that, Lead, is I think as black men, our preference is black woman. They understand us. They understand our struggle. They understand our culture. You know, we can go to you can't take a Latino to a New Edition concert and she's dancing and doing all that. It just doesn't happen. Our preference is a black woman. The problem is we have to go through so much and so much vetting to get there. That's where the issue comes in. The fight and to get there is the problem. We want it, but
I don't. Yes. From our point of view, I mean, let's be honest, Fearless. From a man's point of view, women should have very little vetting. Just let us fucking hit. You know, just don't put up any obstacles. Don't make it hard. You know, don't ask us for anything. Just open your legs. Right. From a man's point of view. Mm-hmm. And from a woman's point of view, it's the opposite. Hey, you want to hit this? Fine. You need to climb Mount Everest. And you need to pay me, and you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to jump through all these hoops. You need to earn it. And so the question is, where is the middle ground going to be? Is it, you know, because it can't be Mount Everest, because I'm not climbing Mount Everest to suck on a pair of titties. And she's like, well, I'm just not gonna just let you hit it, on the first date without even, just going for a coffee date on some ice cream type shit. That's not gonna happen either.
But here's the thing: you would climb Mount Everest if it was worth it. If you ask a girl what she brings to the table, she says she's the table. If she actually brought things to the table, if she made your life easier, if she controlled all your live stream, got your appointment, set this up, did all of those things, you climb Mount Everest for that. Because that is worth it, the reward at the end. What happens is we climb Mount Everest and get to the top and find out, damn, there's nothing at the table. This was a long journey for nothing. That's where our issue comes in. So it's not about the climbing, it's what the reward is at the top of that mountain.
Well, I mean, what can the reward be? If she's 25 years old, what the hell is the reward going to be?
At Austin, let me ask you a question, my brother. Is a 25-year-old in Colombia, Paraguay, the same as a 25-year-old in the United States?
A 25-year-old in South America has the mindset of a 35-year-old in America.
That's the difference. So, but when they were 12 years old, they was running their house, watching their baby brother cooking, cleaning, doing all of that. So by the time they're 18, I mean, they've done that. So the mentality of an 18-year-old in, Medellin is entirely different than an 18-year-old in the United States.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Just cultures mean so much. And I really do think you put your finger on it, Fearless, when you were just talking about the competition, man. There's nothing, and I've just seen this as a 20-year divorce attorney. There's nothing that will kill a relationship faster than this whole internal competition thing, especially when objectively it's clear who the winner is. I remember Chris Rock, the comedian, was talking about how his wife was trying to compete with him. And it's like, lady, I'm Chris Rock. You know what I'm saying? I go out and I entertain just millions and millions of people. I have perfected my craft. Who are you? Like, how can we even compete? But, you don't want to pull that card, with your wife, right? Because she's seen you, when you're at home in your drawers or whatever, she's not fanning out. So we're like, hey, man, you and I, we're husband and wife. We're co-equals.
It should.
We're not this whole, it's not like I'm marrying you and I'm marrying Chris Rock. No, I'm not marrying Chris Rock. I'm marrying Christopher, whatever your whole fucking government name is. And it's hard because as men, you want to look at what you're providing. You want to look at your status, how hard you've worked, and you want some credit for that. And it just is so clear that women, at least in the States, will give you no credit.
No.
It will give you no credit.
Will, Lead, you just did a show about the white gentleman who he gave his wife what $1.8 million, and she was still mad at the $100,000 he didn't have. I mean, and he was paying $12,000 a month in child support, and it still felt like it wasn't enough. I mean, what is enough? I mean, he gave everything. He lived poor so she could live rich, and it still was, I got to get more out of you.
Yes. I mean, that's such a great point. It just, yeah. It seems like as you get older, you figure this whole thing out.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when you're younger, and especially now in 2024, because I know what it is to be, younger in the 90s, but shit, man, I can't imagine trying to date with all this social media stuff. And, Austin was saying, hey, man, they told me I got to have these types of pictures and this and that for my Instagram. And God, it just seems so complicated now.
It is. It is.
And then, I was listening to one of your streams, Austin. You were talking about how, women were saying, or one woman was, they're saying, hey, man, I'm busy, or, maybe they don't call you, or it's like they're busy. And you said something to the extent like, it's like, I'm a YouTuber, man. I'm in social media. I got stuff going on. A random 24-year-old, you ain't got shit going on. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing where you can't call me in 4 days? And that hit, because most women, man, are homebodies. Like, they just sit at fucking home and they wait for men to take them out. And if a man doesn't take them out, they're at home. Now, it's a little bit different now, at least in Atlanta, they'll go to all these damn brunches and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, if a man ain't taking them out, usually these women are at home. And so it's like, you're at home for a whole week and you can't call me. How is it that you're so busy? Like, what are you trying to act like you're doing? But it really just goes to show kind of what Austin was saying, is so much of it is just a game. It's just game playing.
In the States, I told him it's almost like the Bible when they say there's a season for everything. Mm-hmm. So he came here in the spring. So basically he had to talk to girls in the spring and he had to wait till the fall before they call him. It's not going to happen to me. There's no, it's like you plant your seed in the spring and hopefully they'll call you when the fall comes, when harvest time, because that immediate it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Numerous times.
That is insanity. And it's like, how is it? And as a guy, I would tell you, you can feel it when you're putting out a lot of effort over a sustained amount of time and the woman is just taking and no effort at all. You can even feel it on the dating apps when you're like, hey, what you doing? Nothing.
Oh,
everything going good? Yeah. What did you eat today? Red Lobsters. Well, shit, like, I'm done. I'm out. You got to show some type of interest. And I think you went, one of the things you went viral on, Austin, was that girl from Peru or something, the energy. Man, men looked at that video and we were like, damn, I think every single man looking at that video got the same feeling, like, this is it right here. This is it. And if I was a woman in the United States, real talk, even if I didn't feel that energy, like, I would fake it, because if you could fake that energy, you could just get so many men. You used the word, you were hesitant, Fearless, to use the word manipulation, and I understand why, but it's the fucking term. Like, you know what I'm saying? Women have a power,
yes,
but they're doing the opposite of the power. If a woman can just, fake it and just put out this energy, 95% of the men are just going to fall head over heels for it, especially because we're so starved for it. Very few men are getting the energy that lady in Peru was putting out.
And I tell the women, I say, men have gone to war for women. Egypt, Troy, there's things that we would do. But I think, Austin, you hit it before when we were talking. In the United States, even if you ask an open-ended question to get a conversation, they still just end it. Like, there's no follow-up. Like, if you talk to someone in other countries, there's a conversation. Here, it's just like, yes, no, Nothing else. Go ahead and expand on that, Austin, for me.
It's close-ended. When I'm here in Paraguay, like I told you, when I approach women, even if they're not interested, hey, how are you? Good, and you? But they'll end it. They're not interested. That's all I need to know. In the States, they could be interested, but they just don't have the communication skills to display that. And that's unfortunate for them, but that's not my problem.
It's crazy. You know, and trying to look at it from the woman's side too, because it has to make sense on some level because it exists, right? You know, it's not like thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of women are doing this for no reason. There has to be a reason for it. If you have hundreds of thousands of people doing something, it's for a reason. Is it an intelligent reason? Is it a good reason? Who knows? But there's a reason for it. And it's not like there's some big group together, you know, every Tuesday night, you know, these hundreds of thousands of women are getting together to see this is how we're going to act. Right. So it's like, well, what's the reason?
Lee, if you found that reason, you'd quit YouTube and go back to law again.
Well, let's think about it now. Let's think about it because it seems to me that women are getting more attention than ever, right? Because of social media and this and that. And if we're going to be honest, attention, there are consequences to getting attention. Yes. And men shit on it with the women, but if we're honest, it happens to men too. Mm-hmm. I think I saw a video of you, Austin, recently where you were saying, man, you know, being in Dallas, it's got my confidence down a little bit, but when I'm in other countries, my confidence is up. And when your confidence is up, you act different. And you treat people around you differently. You take less shit, right? I think shout out to my brother AMS, man. I think he told a story where he was working security way back in the day in a club in New York, and Puffy walked in. Now, you know, this is before all this Puffy shit happened, right? Puffy walked into the club, and there was this fine bottle girl. And the bottle girl, you know, went up to him. They were in the section or whatever, and the bottle girl just kind of put her hand on Puffy's shoulder. Puffy wearing this big ass mink coat, and Puffy snatched his shoulder away. Looked like he want to slap the girl in the goddamn mouth. Like, don't touch me, don't fucking touch me. Like, who are you? Who are you? And you know, if we're honest, Austin, you know, you being so big on social media, you can kind of get a little crunk with your chat sometimes. People make comments, and sometimes you're rude to these people, right? If we're going to be honest, because like they're there for you, right? You're the guy, and maybe they say something off color, or maybe they say something stupid. Honestly, maybe they ask a question in good faith that's stupid, and you kind of snap them off. But that's because you're getting so much attention. Like, you're confident in yourself. You're like, you know, it's about you. You know, and you could talk about Puffy, or you could talk about you. I'm the same way. You know, I know what it is to have, you know, people make comments and this and that, and you just don't really give a shit. What's the difference between Puffy and Austin and me and these women who are also getting a lot of attention, and someone in a car says, hey, what's your name? And they're like, fuck you. What's the difference?
Well, why are you rude for no reason?
Well, Austin, that's the thing. I've seen kind of you kind of be a little rude sometimes to people in your chat when they ask a stupid question.
Well, it's a stupid question. But
and when I say stupid question, but you know, some of these questions, they could be ignorant or they could be in good faith, but you know, some people are not smart. So you have somebody who asks a question and they're not smart, but they ask it, and you kind of snap them off. Sometimes, you know, Austin, sometimes you get crunk with your people.
I'm going to defend Austin here because I met him.
But I want to hear what Austin has to say first. You know what I'm saying? So what's the difference, Austin, when you're snapping people off and then some girl snaps you off and you're like, oh my God, that's so fucking rude.
But what's your name? Like, how could that possibly be rude for somebody to snap like that? The comments that you see me snap at are rhetorical questions. What's your name is not a rhetorical question. I don't know you. Like, how could that be worth snapping on somebody at any point?
Yeah, and I guess this is kind of, it's like, you know, what's wrong with, you know, a bottle girl just kind of putting her hand on Puffy's shoulder, saying, "Hey, Puffy, nice to meet you." You know,
that could be rude, though.
Well, that's the thing, Austin. It can be rude for you to and I know this is not going to go over well, but guys, I swear to fucking God, man, it can be rude sometimes for you to ask people stuff when they don't know anything about you. I know, Austin, you might be too young to remember, but back in my day, man, it was a thing for these damn Jehovah's Witnesses to come up and bang on your doors and start talking to you. And everybody used to hate it. Sometimes you'd be hiding in your own couch, hiding in your own house, you know, cut off the lights and this and that. Now, these people just rang your doorbell and just wanted to have a nice conversation. They weren't being rude at all, but you would get so angry sometimes, so frustrated. Like, why are you bothering me? Like, I was in my own house. I was doing my own thing. Here you come. Why are you bothering me? And when you have that sense of feeling like, hey, why are you bothering me? You might get a rude response.
Well,
right?
And I'll stay in there, boy.
No, I'm just saying, you know, you kind of wonder like, hey, you know, how is it rude when, you know, these people are just going about their day? And sometimes I think that we don't really look at it from the woman's perspective sometimes.
I mean, at the same time, what if nobody asked that woman what her name is? Then she gonna have something else to complain about.
She's gonna have another problem. She's gonna have another problem.
Which one do you want?
For men, it just seems crazy to us that we can't ask a woman, you know, what her name is. I remember when Kevin Samuels was talking about, you know, how hard it is to even ask a woman to smile. You know, go up to a woman on the street, ask her to smile. You know, it's their reaction to it versus our reaction to it. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that men and women, we just see things so differently so often. And here in the States, it just seems so exacerbated. And I wish there was a way to get like a common understanding, because it just can't be the case that all men are just going to start living overseas. I wish there was just a you know, a compromise point.
There is none.
No, there's not. What do you think about this? I'm sorry.
10 years from now, we will be on panels still talking about these same issues.
What do you think about all this, Fearless? Yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off. You were going to say something.
When I met Austin, I had this same perception, and I even made a video saying I was bamboozled, hoodwinked, run amok,
led astray.
Yes, because I thought I was going to meet this person who was arrogant, but in person he's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that's the facade that he does, or how he may portray. Because even when I was on the live stream, there's some stupid conversations out there that go, and I can see how you can get upset. But the ability just to smile or say hi, even if you don't want to talk, and maybe I think, hey, I got to give it to us. We've been rude. If I was, and this is where I have to defend a woman. If I was a woman, and I think there was a video where the woman was like, no, I'm not interested. The guy followed her, you know, from all the way out the store, like harassing her, to the point where she's like, look, man, I'm gonna have to shoot you or something to get you away. Maybe as a men, we haven't learned respect. I don't think that, you know, politely, like Austin, you said, when you talk to a woman there, you know, hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está? You know, and you say hi and they say they're not interested, you don't call them the B word. You don't say nothing to them. You just walk away. So if I'm a woman and I've told a lot of men, no, you know, I'm married, or no, I'm not interested, and that doesn't end it, and continually they harass me. Well, your boyfriend, doesn't matter. You have a boyfriend. What's he don't have to know. We can be friends. We can do. And you hear that constantly, and you've tried to be nice to like 9 people. That 10th person is going to get it. That 10th person is the one that you're going to take the frustration out. And maybe each time, Austin, you might be that 10th person because of the 9 people before you that just didn't get the hint, that were just not nice, that were just seriously rude. And as a woman, you had to protect yourself. You know, you don't know the intentions of somebody coming up to you. You're a little more vulnerable. You know, you're a little more soft. And, you know, a guy comes at you aggressively. You know, how do you behave? How do you act? You don't know the situation. So in that sense, I defend women, that maybe us men have been rude for a very long time, and nobody taught us respect. Well, I mean, and not to take anything on what's that, Will the Boy, just think of what he said. You got to be hard. You got to be hood to these chicks. So if I'm a guy and I think that's the only way I can get a girl, I'm hood. Yo, B, yo, what's up? You know, that can become monotonous.
Well, the point of my channel is too, if you don't fit into that culture, go somewhere else. So if I'm in New Orleans, like he said, and he said they like hood dudes, I'm not pretending. So I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah. And if I think you're so right, Fearless. And I think it really is helpful. Sometimes on YouTube, it's like, okay, we're either going to see it from, we're just going to see it from the man's point of view, or the women are like, okay, we're just going to see it from the woman's point of view, sprinkle, sprinkle, right? But it really is helpful to see it from both sides. And what you're saying about, you know, women having experiences with men being rude is so true. And if we can take it even further, man, it's like, if you have a 24-year-old, you know, and a guy comes up to her off the street and says, you know, well, what's your name? You know, what she's getting is attention, and she's smart. She knows what the man wants. It's not like the man wants to marry her or anything. Now that could happen in 2 years, but in that interaction right now, he wants to fuck. Let's be honest. I want to get to know you. No, you want to get sucked off. All right, fine. The problem is, it's like, if you're a woman and you're 24 and that happens to you on a Tuesday, right? You know, could have happened to you, like you said, 9 times before on a Monday or a Sunday. You know, you're 24, it could have happened, you know, so many times when you were 22, so many times when you were 19. You know, men have been showing, let's say, this woman, this masculine attention for years. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you know, this woman could have gotten this type of attention when she was, you know, 14, when she was 12. If we're really going to be honest, she could have gotten some of this masculine attention when she was 5 from one of these goddamn uncles. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, you got this woman who's getting all this fucking masculine attention from strangers for 20 years. And now here you come in a car like, hey, what's your name? It's like, shit, man, how many decades do I have to be nice? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not initiating any of these fucking conversations. People are, and it's so hard for men to put ourselves in that position. You know, a man is never going to be in that position where just for decades, you just have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women coming up. What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? But maybe, you know, if we could be a little bit more empathetic with their situation. I don't know if that helps us or not. And I'm not saying, you know, honestly, I'm not saying you have to do it, brother. I'm just, you know, talking in general. And I'm not saying that, you know, it's nothing wrong or anything. Could she have been nice? Absolutely. She's acting like an asshole.
Well, my thing is this. If the women have a problem with you approaching them, go somewhere where they don't. They're a lost cause.
He said they're lost. Don't fix it. And listen, if a woman has been touched at 5, maybe there is, you know, what can you do, right? Some of these people are just damaged.
Yes.
But it's hard for men to really understand that damn stranger male gaze, right? That women have been putting up with since they were 15 or 5, or who knows? Who knows? It's tough.
But think about it, Lead. How many women? You don't have to answer how many women. Just men in general, we manipulate women to get what we want.
Yeah. So
just imagine if you're a woman and you've gotten manipulated. You've heard those sweet nothings. You've fallen for that man deep, and he just kind of used you. And he kind of gets scorned. You get scorned for the next one. So I can feel sorry for them in that sense when we don't have the best intentions, and we portray that we do, but we don't.
Well,
go ahead, Austin.
Well, this is how I'm looking at it. If you have 2 jobs to apply for, let's say actually you're applying for one job, you've seen a sign outside. You go put your application in. They don't respond. There's another job reaching out to you that wants to hire you happily. Which one do you pick? Do you just continue to say, oh, well, like they're damaged? You know, like maybe their phone is off the hook.
No, Austin, you may be too young. Shawshank Redemption, you remember that? When Morgan Freeman kept coming up and saying, you know, sir, I've been great. I've done everything. I've done this. And we just said, look, God let me out. All right, parole. That's kind of how a woman is. I've been nice. I've got nothing. So when I'm mean, now the tables turn. So I know you're saying it seems like the nice person would get it. But if you've been nice a long time and you've gotten nowhere, and then all of a sudden you become this B, and now guys are, treating you with respect, you're not getting used. You start to be the B more often.
Yeah, it's just interesting. And I agree with Austin too about the whole travel thing. Traveling blew my mind when, I decided to go to Mexico. This was back in the day. And I lived in a city where it was a small town, really, where there was just no Black people. And I was like the only Black person. And the attention that I got, I didn't know I didn't know this type of attention existed. I just didn't know it existed. And the way women would relate to me, the way they would talk to me, this was back in the day when people had cameras instead of phones, and women would come up and take pictures with me because I was like super tall according to them, and I was dark, and it was like I was like an alien or something, and people just couldn't believe it. There was so many people that I ran into that had never seen a Black person in real life. And to feel that is kind of on par with feeling, like a woman might feel in terms of getting this gaze. And it just blows your mind as a man. And I remember coming back after like 2 years, and I landed in Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, our airport in Atlanta here, which is the fucking blackest airport in the United States. And I swear to God, there's like at any given time, 3,000 Black men that look exactly like me. And I was just 3 hours ago in an airport where I would walk, down the terminal, and women would turn their heads and stare, and they would point to their friends. And I remember, getting off that plane and walking through the airport in Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson, and I swear to God, I was invisible. I was invisible. Like, no one looked at me. I could feel the fact that no one was looking at my ass. I was like, where's the looks? What the hell is that?
We call that I call it the Dominican Depression.
It is a depression. I want to be the man. And you're just not the man. There's 6,000 people that look exactly like me in this goddamn airport.
It feels good. It feels good when somebody calls you El Negro Abogado.
Talk about it, all right? I was everything down there. Feature El Negro, El Diamante, El Sicario, El Licenciado. They had all these fucking names for me, man. It was amazing. And so sometimes I look at women and I'm just like, man, imagine feeling like that every day. Imagine just feeling like that every fucking day, where it's just men are just, you walk by and you could feel, I could walk by a group of women and I'll turn quick and they all look and they all turn their heads. And it seems like that's how women are. We make fun of these women in the gyms and shit because they wear the, damn near butt naked and they're turning to see if you're looking. But I'll be honest, I've been there, man. I've been there and I caught you looking and it feels good. It's a big ego stroke.
But let me ask you this then. But when you felt like that and you were the man, when someone talked to you, you still said hi back. Did that change your inner personality? I mean, you were the man, you were the Negro Abogado, but you still had a respect to say hi, even if they were unattractive and you knew that they were trying to pursue you.
Yeah, that you're exactly right. I was super
humble.
Yeah, I was blown away. But I will say this though, if we're going to be honest, I'm 6'3", and these girls are 5'3", 5'5". There was not that level of danger. Men really don't appreciate women's concern for their danger. And it's because we don't feel it. Just like, and shout out to all the white people in the chat, man. White people, especially back in the day, you don't really feel the racism like that. I think all Black men, when we leave the country, you can feel, you'll wind up in a country, you're like, I know this is going to sound stupid, white people, but you're like, I feel that there's no racism in this country. You can feel it. Like, it's not there. And you come to the States and you can actually feel racism, right? But white people can't really feel it like that. men, we really can't feel the security concerns that women have. It's different. It's different. So me getting a lot of attention versus a woman getting a lot of attention, it's not the same. It's not the same. And so my response is not going to be the same. Because no matter how much attention I got, I never felt unsafe. And women can very easily feel unsafe with some male attention.
But question, Lee, I'm just thinking about what you said. Women, I mean, they've always gotten attention. There's been beautiful women. What's changed in this? You know, if you go back to the 1960s, 1950s, or even 70s, women were getting attention. They were catcalled. Actually, it was probably more overt. You could get catcalled. You could work in an office where there was no like sexual harassment. And it was, I would say women were unsafe. You know, there was no such thing as a date rape. It was, you know, it was just, you were going out and she had a short dress on. What changed? I guess I'm trying to find, like you said, a root cause to the problem between that time when there was still the same circumstances to today's age. So the circumstances didn't change. What changed?
Yeah. You know, I actually was thinking about this today. I was on TikTok. I got addicted to TikTok like 6 months ago. I didn't see what the big issue was. And I got on TikTok. I was like, oh, I found out. TikTok is so amazing, especially when you view it from a content creator standpoint. I was on this, and there's this Jewish girl. She was like 24 years old, 23. She was out on her porch, and she had a wife beater on, a black wife beater, and she had like some C-size titties or whatever. It was a big nipple, but all she had was all she had was this wife beater. This girl, if you saw her in real life at the mall, she was a 5. She was a 5. But she had her, you know, soggy, you know, double bead cups, you know, hanging, and you could see, you know, the nipples with through the little wife beater, the wife beater. I clicked on that damn thing. She had 2,000 people in the chat. 2,000 people. So this 5 is getting attention like she's a 9. And she's, you know, begging for galaxies. Somebody put in the chat, does anybody know how much a galaxy is on TikTok? She was getting these galaxies. She's basically begging for money, and oh, we got to do this and we got to do that. And she was talking about some type of competition or some shit that she's in. And I swear to God, after 2 hours, if she turns that camera off and go to the mall, you ain't gonna be able to tell that girl shit. What can you tell her? You know, in the 90s, she was ugly. She was a 5. But in 2024, when she's getting galaxies, however much they are, I mean, how can you? It's so hard to be an ugly woman now with social media. And if you're, like Austin said, you know, if your confidence is up, people they can't really tell you shit.
Here might be the thing. I was thinking about that. Do you think, you know, in our time, and I don't want to say we're old, but you know, there was not social media. You had to have some confidence. You had to talk to women. You had to kind of go out. You had to socialize. That's the only way you could do it. Do you think the incels of today, you know, the guys who can be behind the screen, because those are the people that's blowing her up. Those are the ones that feel like they have some type of chance with them. Do you think that's the call? Do you think us men not being as confident, not being as masculine as we were, you know, we're basically a lot of incels out there. Do you think that is causing this?
I think it fuels it. I mean, when we get to the cause of all this stuff, I really don't have the answers. Because I don't think about the why usually. I just think about my results.
But it's weird that you're saying that you don't think about the why when at the same time you're saying you're running a social experiment. Because you keep saying that. You keep saying it's not my problem and I don't care and I don't think about this and I don't think about that. But then you turn around and say you're running an experiment.
Well, for the social experiment, we could do that. Personally, for my personal life, I don't think about the why. Like if a chick rejects me, I don't think, oh, well, why did she do that? You know? I don't think that.
I think you should, because I think Kevin Samuel said something that was great. And I think we said this, The best career, if you were young, you could go into is sales. Why? Because you learn rejection. You learn how to read people. You start to learn how to sell to them. And if you don't know the why and you're getting rejected, maybe sometimes it might be something you're doing. And you need to reflect upon yourself to say, what is it that I'm doing that would cause that type of reaction? To always look inside to say, how can I change it? How can my approach be different? So I think the whys can be important.
I was in sales. I just don't give whys with women.
Luke Hazley says the Galaxies are $800 to $1,300.
Hey, I'm just letting everybody know I'm going out in a tank top.
I'm getting a white beater. Shout out to Luke Hazley. God damn, I sat there and watched this 5. I watched I know, shout out to the women. Women hate the numbers. I got it, but this is how men speak. I watched a 5 get a goddamn Galaxy today with 2,000 people in the chat. Oh my God. And it's like, how can you what man can command this type of money for doing nothing on a porch? And there was the whole thing. They were like, all the guys were like, oh, do a push-up. And she's got her soggy titties, hanging down in the damn thing. And she's getting all this money. And I'm like, how is her confidence not sky high? When in the 90s, she was just ugly. She was just ugly. She wasn't getting really anything. She was just getting the bottom of the barrel stuff. And now she's getting top dollar. She is earning more money at, let's say, 23, 24, however old she was, than, she could earn that at Macy's or something, like a real job.
That's getting treated like an NFL first round draft pick. I mean, you couldn't tell me nothing if I got first round. What could you say? Man.
And that's such a great point, Fearless, because you hear these coaches and these older NBA stars talk about the new generation, and they're making 20 million, 15 million, 25 million. What do they all say? You can't tell these 22-year-old niggas. You can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. And so if this 4.5/5 can get $800 out of dudes on TikTok, what can you tell her? You gonna tell her that she's ugly? How can she be ugly?
Yeah.
So it's deep, man. I'm just like, I look at this stuff to see her getting 2,000. It's 1,000 people in here now. She had 2,000 with soggy titties. I was like, man, that's
areola.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Let me give a big shout out to Steven again. Steven, what did he say? Lead. Mr. Austin is a prodigy and he is extremely influential. Big ups to High Value Brothers. Salute. Yes, salute to my man, Steven. Thank you so much. Shout out to AV to the 7th power as well, my co-host. If one of the mods can drop AV's channel in the chat. shout out to my man Fearless. They got him sideways over here.
Oh man, who done turned me sideways?
Thank you so much, AV. And she says, happy KS weekend, everybody. The legacy wisdom lives on. Yes, it's never been a bigger casualty, a bigger blow to this entire space than Kevin leaving us. Somebody write KS in the chat. Absolutely.
Might get me right side, Lee. They say I'm going sideways on them or something.
I don't know how you can I got
this way.
Do you want to click out and then click back in?
Maybe that'll help. Let me see if I can do that.
Maybe that'll help. But thank you. Shout out to, I don't know how to say this. I can't say this. Says TLA, why are you conflating a woman's profession to her womanly nature? You too old to be that naive. All right. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much. Who else we got up in here? Shout out to Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke says, women in America date with the intention to try and get something out of a relationship. whereas women in other countries date with the intention to add value to the relationship. My experience. Do you agree with that, Austin?
100%. That's why I said Brazil changed my life.
Mm.
I told you, in America, it feels like you pour everything in and you're not getting nothing back. The basic needs are met in Brazil.
Yeah. I agree with you, Austin. That I really do think traveling is the key. You know, the fact that you're able to do it at such a young age just speaks volumes about you and your character, your work ethic, your intelligence. I worry about the brothers who are young and they don't really have these opportunities because they're just here, right? But the fact that you were able to get out, and there's nothing more valuable than travel. There's just I just don't think that it is. And I saw what it did to my life and my experiences with women, just having experiences that were just not available in the States. I mean, in so many ways, they were just not on offer, and being treated in ways that were just completely foreign to me. And it really does make you feel like a man. It makes you feel like a king. And when you're dealing with women now here in the States, it's really hard. If you want to feel like a man in the States, you just have to be a man in your own mind. Because it's not like a woman is really going to pump it up for you. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it's just going to be so hard.
They'll do anything to down your confidence, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I agree with what our brother Fearless said as well about not, you know, you can get with the hood chicks if you want, but Lord knows that comes with a cost, man. And there are very few things more detrimental to a man than like a crazy woman. A crazy woman can put a man in just such a terrible situation.
Correct.
So, yeah, guys. So we've been going for 3 hours. I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and release the hostage, Austin. But let me get Fearless and Austin first. Fearless, you know, kind of give your summation of this, kind of what you think about the topic, and then where people can find you, brother.
Let me start off where you can find me, Fearless_travels. That's on YouTube. I think it's today's generation. Somehow we've lost our way. We can't communicate with each other. We think we're in competition with each other, and I don't think guys, it's more expensive to go overseas and try to find a girl. I mean, you're traveling and spending money. That shouldn't be how it is. But we miss that traditional type woman. That doesn't mean you cook and clean and that. We just want somebody who's softer. That's all we're looking for. You want us strong and masculine. We want you soft and feminine. And I think until the pendulum swings, there are going to be a lot of guys who are traveling overseas. And shout out to Austin. Austin, stay up. I want to say this. I know he's only 20. Well, you turned 25 yet? Not yet. All right. He's only 24. If I had those followers when I was 24 and I was traveling across the world, I'd not be the person I am. I wasn't ready for that lead. I wasn't ready. God made sure that he had to humble me in that sense. But just understand, the brother is evolving. So y'all get a chance to watch his life. You see his mistakes. You see what he does right, he does wrong. But when I was 24, if I had a camera in front of me, oh man, I would have been judged entirely different. So let him evolve, you know, support it. I appreciate it, Lee. Thank you for letting me on. And thank you for your content and for your package. I got the double deal. So
all right, man. Shout out to Fearless. He bought the course, man. He bought the course bundle. Really appreciate that, Fearless. You can come up anytime, brother. All right. Shout out to Fearless. And then the man of the hour, Austin. Somebody write Austin in the damn chat, man. Giving us 3 hours of his valuable time. You know, I hit him up today. I was like, hey, man, really like your content, especially what you were doing in Dallas. You know, if we could collab. He's like, oh, you know, I really didn't kind of want to stream today, but I kind of did. Just on this. If it wasn't going to be on this, I wasn't going to stream probably till next week. Y'all know how I am. So I just really want to thank Austin for coming up and giving us some of his views and being willing to take some of the questions that you guys have and in the chat as well. It's hard sitting in that seat, and sometimes some of the questions can be kind of off-putting or be kind of sharp. But y'all see Austin, man, it's just a young bull just killing it. And I totally agree with Fearless, man, that the way that you're handling this situation here with, you know, your status as a social influencer and all this traveling and being so young with, you know, cameras always on you, it's amazing. You know, I would have taken 1,000 missteps. So I really want to shout you out, and I want to thank you for coming on the platform. You know, if you want to, again, just shout your channel out, let everybody know where they can find you on all your socials, and then kind of anything you have in kind of summation to talk to the folks about.
Thank you for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it. It was a great opportunity and a great discussion. If you guys resonate with what I say and you realize that there is no solution, honestly, I know we were trying to get to the cause. I don't really see how that will help. But if you are interested in the solution and what has worked for me, you can find me at Austin Holloman on YouTube, on every platform. That's Austin Holloman, and I will keep putting out content to show you guys what the rest of the world is like.
That is what's up. So somebody write Austin Holloman in the chat. Austin Holloman, thank you so much again for coming up and for agreeing to this collab. I don't really collab with a lot of people anymore, man. I'm kind of old and tired, but I saw some of your content when you were in Dallas, and I just thought it was just fascinating. Fascinating how the situation has changed from back when I was in these streets, and, you know, kind of how you are, because you have way more status than I had when I was your age. And so to see the struggles that people in your age are having now with dating and to get with women, it's mind blowing to me. So I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity and the audience to kind of hear from your perspective.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right. So shout out to Austin. Again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate 3 hours. That's a lot to ask. So really appreciate it, brother. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. So shout out to our man, Austin Holloman, guys. What do y'all think, man? I know that's a little change